Sir, briefly, I'll be talking about the differences between IVU and CT scan in the diagnosis of GU COX. So, starting with IVU, the main benefit is that the earliest changes are seen on IVU as compared to CT scan, which includes loss of
You,
calcium sharpness.
please make that statement again. Say that statement again.
So the main benefit of IVU at present time is that the earliest changes in GU COX are better seen in IVU as compared to CT scans.
Please, everybody remember that. Everybody should remember that line. It is very, very important. You see, as a result of which the IVU has been thrown away, the reason is what? What is the reason for this? The reason for this, I believe, is because the calycial pattern is much better seen on an IVU than it is on a CT.
Yes, sir.
Single images that you get on an IVU give you a much better idea of what. We're not talking of a poor quality, we're talking of a good IVU. Just like you have lousy CTs, you have lousy IVUs. We are talking of good quality stuff. That is the standard. A good quality IVU will show these changes, which means that the kidney must be functioning also well for your calyceal pattern to be seen correctly. Same way, the kidney must be functioning well for the CT also to show this.
Yes.
But it doesn't show these changes so sharply, which you can see. So it's very important. Right, carry on.
The earliest changes which are seen on IVU include loss of calycial sharpness, irregular fuzzy calyx, and ragged appearance of the urothelium. Further, includes moth-eaten calyx also, which is seen a little bit later. Another advantage.
Let me interrupt. This word fuzzy calyx is very famous with all the examiners. So candidates who are going for the examination must remember this word, fuzzy calyx.
Yes.
I hope you know what it means, fuzzy calyx.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right.
Yes. Apart from this, there is a little less radiation exposure as well in IVU as compared to CT scan. Coming on to the CT, except these early changes, most of the IVU findings can be seen on CT scan as well. It also gives more anatomical details as we have axial images. There is no need for a bowel preparation. The renal parenchyma can also be seen, which is not available in IVU. As calcifications can be seen on IVU as well, but the CT scan is more sensitive in diagnosing the calcifications. Apart from that, renal scars can be clearly seen, and mass lesions in the parenchyma, including granulomas, nodules, or any cystic masses can be seen clearly. Apart from that, abscesses in the renal abscess as well as extension of the abscess to perinephric or paranephric regions, they can also be clearly seen on CT. Apart from that, urothelial thickening is appreciable on CT. Calectasis, which is not sometimes revealed on IVU due to poor renal function, can also be seen clearly on CT, even if in a poorly functioning kidney. The thinning of the cortex is also clearly seen on CT. Apart from that, extrarenal spread in the form of perinephric or paranephric abscesses, psoas abscess, adrenal involvement, and retroperitoneal collection, along with spine involvement, can also be seen on CT. Fistulas, which can be from the renal parenchyma or from the pelvis, they are clearly visualized on CT scan. And also features of extra renal TB, including abdominal TB, can be seen on CT scan.
Genital, no?
Yes.
Females mainly.
Genital TB.
That is an advantage. What else?
Since you are still waiting, since it's hanging, what is important is when you look at IVU, we tend to forget that there is a procedure called nephrotomography.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now, nephrotomogram, if you combine it with a standard IVU, you will be able to see these areas within the parenchyma clearly. The nephrotomogram was ideally used to look at renal mass lesions. Okay,
Yes.
renal lesions, especially carcinoma and all the rest of it. So, IVU with nephrotomogram was always done in anybody who had hematuria for evaluation. That was routine. It just means that your machine should be able to do that. The machine gantry must move in such a way that you take 3 images and superimpose them all together. So you will get like a fast CT, just 3 cuts, and you'll be able to see clearly the parenchyma, the outline, all those things you can make out. But there's no doubt about the fact that some of the other spin-offs of the CT scan are very clear. So, right.
They help in defining the mass. If we see a mass in the renal parenchyma, we can define what the mass is in a differential diagnosis in the CT scan.
True, very true, yes.
But the drawbacks of CT at present are that it cannot identify small granulomas which are of size less than 3 millimeters, or if there is minimal urothelial thickening or subtle papillary necrosis. These may be missed on CT scan. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so there's one more advantage of CT. Like, if on an IVP, what happens is we can't we can do a PCNogram and all these things, but on a CT scan, if there is something extra renal fluid, all these things will be added. In addition to CT, we can do a cystogram, we can do a PCNogram. So all these things are there. And obviously, you have mentioned, but in patients who have renal failure.
Yes, ma'am. Even in those mentioned.
Yeah.
In patients with the renal failure, the parenchyma is visualized on CT, but it is not possible to see on IVP. So should we start with the case?
One of the things that you should actually mention is the state of the ureter is better seen on a CT scan. The irregular areas of thickening, the wall thickening, the luminal narrowing, all these things are better appreciated on the axial cuts of the CT scan. And subtle calcification in the walls of the ureter are also better appreciated on a CT. So many times you find that the ureter can be giving you a detail of what the symptomatology is likely to be for. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Carry on.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. We are starting with the case presentation. Month back. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. 85-year-old male resident of Mumbai. He presented with complaint of poor flow of urine since 1.5 years, straining while micturition and intermittent flow of urine since 1.5 years, and hematuria 1 month back. Single episode.
Oh, that hematuria just one episode only?
Yes, 1 month back.
Okay. You mentioned that poor flow of urine is there for 1.5 years.
Yes.
Whether it is the stream that is like interrupted stream, thin stream?
He has both interrupted and it's thin stream.
Thin stream.
Yeah.
Does that help you in any way?
Ma'am,
stream and interrupted stream, it has a different meaning when it is told.
Yes, ma'am. Thin and continuous stream, I would think in terms of a prostate problem, ma'am. If it is interrupted, then I would think in terms of a stricture problem.
Or is it vice versa? A thin continuous stream versus a thin interrupted stream.
When there is a stricture, the person.
Thin stream, which is continuous, is more in favor of a stricture rather than according to your logic. According to your logic. Whereas
I told the other way.
in a patient who's got BPH, it's an interrupted stream.
Who is answering?
Ma'am, Prasanna.
Exam, Prasanna.
Prasanna, this is just to make you aware that what you are asking, sometimes you ask at the spinal level, not you, everybody asks questions which are, sometimes it is not, this is relevant, but many times questions are asked without knowing why we ask them.
Yes.
Carry on.
Hematuria.
Keep talking.
That hematuria episode you mentioned 1 month back, whether it had, was it associated with clots? Did he seek any hospitalization or any treatment was done at that time, or just it was just one episode of without any clots?
It was a single painless episode, not associated with blood clots or tissue bed, and it was total hematuria.
Total hematuria. In the past 1.5 years, did he have any catheterization or any recurrent UTI infections? Or was he treated for the same in the past 1.5 years? Did he seek hospitalization?
No treatment was done in past 1.5 years.
No history of fever?
No.
What is his bowel habits? Whether he's having constipation?
No complaint of constipation.
It's not straining the past stools. Okay. And what is his frequency like? Daytime and nighttime?
He get up only once in a night, and frequency is every 2 to 3 hours he passed urine once.
Any associated urgency or urge incontinence this patient has?
No.
Anything else in the LUTs you want to ask, which is more relevant? Relevant to the hematuria?
Dysuria, anything he's having any urge, burning micturition?
No complaint of dysuria.
So what is, he has irritation symptoms, he has storage symptoms, he has voiding symptoms, and he has hematuria.
Yes, ma'am. But predominantly he has voiding symptoms more than storage symptoms, ma'am.
But painless hematuria.
Painless hematuria, just one episode which was mentioned 1 month back. After that, as per history, it doesn't have any recurrent episodes, ma'am. So, does the patient have any comorbidities? Does he had any urological, endourological intervention?
15 years back, patient has a history of bilateral orchidectomy done, but no records or details were available. And 10 years back, patient has history of TURP done, but again, no records were available. Otherwise, patient has no comorbidities. And sorry, he's a hypertensive. I'm really sorry. And he's currently on medications.
Previous slide.
You've got some important information in the last minute, where you can build on your history.
Hypertension.
Yes, okay, but something more was also said.
Yeah, TRP 10 years back.
Apart from that,
Bilateral orchidectomy, why was it done?
apart from that, something else.
There's no history of
They
TB.
said he's on medications. Aren't you interested in knowing what medication he's on?
Hypertension, they are
Are
for architecture.
you think there's only one medicine for hypertension?
Three
I mean,
medicines.
there's only medicine, there's treatment. He can have something else. He could be on aspirin, he could be on clopidogrel, God knows what. He's had orchidectomy 15 years back. 10 years back, he had TURP. Could have been something else, I don't know what. So we find out. Don't assume that just because he is hypertensive, all the drugs he's taken are only for control of hypertension. That's the mistake you make. Get all the information.
Did he have, is he taking any other medication apart from the hypertension? Like any
No.
anti?
No anticoagulants or antiplatelets drugs he's on.
You want to get some more details about this operation?
Yes, yes, sir. I want details about both the operations. Sir.
Ah.
What is the indication for the orchidectomy?
Patient has no records available with them.
Orchidectomy was done first.
Orchidectomy was done.
So what do you think would be the reason for orchidectomy? 15 years back.
So you
He
would
is
have
now
been
85.
around the age of 70, he had this orchidectomy.
Yes. What do you think would be the reason for orchidectomy? Enumerate the reasons for orchidectomy.
Bilateral, first I would think in terms of CA prostate.
Okay, all right. Okay. See a prostate. Anything else?
Apart from that, any testicular abscess that would have warranted.
Right. Bilateral. He was 70 years old at that time. He's 85 now. Would have been 75, 69 years old. Any reason for doing bilateral orchidectomy? Any other reason apart from carcinoma prostate?
Probably due to bilateral
Could you have any
stress,
other tumor?
unilateral.
Could you have any other tumor at that age?
Lymphoma.
No? Anything else apart from lymphoma? Lymphoma is usually unilateral. We are talking about bilateral.
What else can it be?
Any other urological malignancy? Urological malignancy bilateral. Usually very good prognosis in younger people. It occurs in younger people also. The same condition occurs in younger people also, but not on both sides.
Epidermal tumors.
No, we are talking about bilateral attack. Both sides knocked off in one shot. Lot of seminoma, testicular tumor,
Yes.
spermatocytic seminoma.
Yes, sir.
Elderly people, bilateral.
Bilateral.
No, invariably bilateral. So, just now question like this is just to know to the examiner whether this candidate has read, he's got some. It may not give you less marks or pull down your marks, but it may add up to in the ultimate analysis of your marks. Okay, you know something. Right? It's a side spin question not related to this case at all. That's what happens in the exam. So you have to be prepared for everything. You had bilateral herniorrhaphy. People take out testis at the time of hernia. Old man. You would have had bilateral direct hernia, inguinal, God knows what. There's some people knock it off. Right.
The TURP indication, anything is there? Why was he operated for the TURP 10 years back? What was his presentation at that time?
TURP done. You see,
Huh?
indication for TURP is a
More
different.
than
Symptoms that he,
more than indication, what else you are interested?
what was his
Yeah,
presentation at that time?
No, what presented? Some presentation only they are done to you. You ask what?
Whether
See,
storage
you are
or-
asking just questions. Ask question which gives you a relevant
A specific
thing.
question which will say yes, okay. TURP was done for this.
That is what I want.
Solid indication for TURP. Solid indication.
retention.
Retention of urine. Ask them. Was he in retention of urine? Laboratory TURP.
Even the, what is the specific criteria you would like to ask?
Yeah, what
Example,
is-
sequence in the past history. What question you would like to ask? The TURP was done. This is the thing you would like to know. Which gives you further information, which you can act upon, rather than some retention burden, poor flow was there, for which TURP was. There must be something else. You don't want like to know histopathology?
Sir, but that is after the.
After TURP, TURP may be done for anything, but if the TURP histology, if you know, that will guide you. Patient who had ballot blockectomy, 5 years down the line, he undergoes TURP. Histology comes. It will help you now in the current this one also. It gives you immediate answer for everything.
Is the histopathology available for this surgery, ma'am?
So, Prasanna, I hope you understand what sir tried to tell you, because it is very important. Why will TURP done? TURP will be done for obstruction, na? Any sort of indication can be there in this scenario. Obviously, it's done in KM hospital, so it maybe I'm saying, maybe little more indicated. But instead of that, these two questions are very important. Was the histopathology done? Because there is a gap of 5 years between orchidectomy and TURP.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, I don't know why records should not be available, but maybe we can find out. But right now they are not available.
Okay.
You want
So-
to ask anything more in
Post
relation
TURP,
to orchidectomy? Symptom wise. Now you have to go back to your presenting symptoms, na? You came
Yes.
to past history.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
now you ask.
ma'am,
Okay, you think about it. What are the possibilities now after this history that he could have?
you're asking about differential diagnosis, ma'am, for this.
Yeah, so what? Yeah, differential diagnosis, in other words.
Yes, ma'am. First, I would like to think in terms of for post TRP stricture, ma'am,
Okay, post TURP stricture
and
occurring after 10 years, 10 years. TURP is done for 10 years, and 1.5 years ago he has obstructive symptoms. But okay, I give it to you. Post TURP some stricture. What else?
CA prostate, ma'am,
Okay, CA prostate.
and
How many patients of CA prostate after orchidectomy is done live for 15 years?
at least 50, at least 50, more than 50% of the patients.
50% of the patients.
You must have this data because it's an important question.
Yeah.
And it's an important question, and there is no doubt that there are plenty of survivors. The famous Rajaban study you must know, where orchidectomy was done, and patients in his data normal in the university lived for 20 years, 15 years, 30 years. So there are patients like this who have done exceedingly well after orchidectomy. The reason for why they are living so long is only one. What is it?
It's total and
No, what is it that determines whether a man after any cancer will live so many years or so many years? Any cancer. The stage and the grade only, no? The stage and the grade, that's all. And carcinoma prostate is one of those conditions, where this can happen. So there are patients who can they can live even after orchidectomy 15, 20 years. Look at that paper, old paper, very, very old paper, Roger Barnes. You put Roger Barnes, carcinoma prostate, you may get it.
BIHN.
Roger Barnes, BARNES, ROG.
So So we have CA prostate, which was treated 15 years now, causing obstructive symptoms and hematuria. Means what must be happening inside?
Ma'am, hematuria, castration resistant prostate cancer.
No, but castration resistant, okay, may or may not, whatever it is. But what is happening pathologically inside the bladder or the prostate or the urethra? If it has to come back,
He's having a bladder outlet obstruction.
yeah.
That he is having predominant
It's
voiding.
hematuria. So
Could be associated with vesical calculus also rarely.
You are making you are going only in one track. You are fixing only on one line. 15 years ago, orchidectomy was done, TURP was done. Okay, after that, for whatever reason, we don't know that reason. And now the patient is coming with poor flow and hematuria again. We conceive that he could have a stricture after 10 years, maybe stricture. But what else can there be now? If a man, after orchidectomy, has lived for 15 years, a good innings, and he's still going strong. He's still going strong. What are the chances that that tumor which he's got now is actually prostate cancer? Is it necessary that just because a man has an orchidectomy 15 years ago, and if he comes with hematuria now, then it must be the same disease? That's what you want to know. Are you thinking out of the box, thinking laterally? CA prostate, TURP stricture. Agreed, he's got obstructive bloods, but he's also got hematuria. This hematuria which has brought him. So, could there be any other reason for his hematuria? That's all we want to know.
CA bladder infiltrating the prostate.
Go on, say infiltrating the prostate. You are not. Just say he could have a totally different malignancies. He could have kidney cancer. He could have urothelial cancer. Anything he could have.
you can have anything. You can have a UTI also. You didn't ask about fever with chills, anything.
Oh, all those things. So don't just think of see the logical. 15 years he's had his orchidectomy. He's not feeling well for that. So based on that, you work on this direction. Hematuria, there could be another reason for it. You understand, huh?
Yes, sir.
You understand what we are trying to get at here. Okay.
Do you want to ask any more history in otherwise we'll proceed. You need to ask, na? See, for 15 years patient is a known case of whatever. Means we are assuming that he has CA prostate, but if he has CA prostate, is he likely to have received any more treatment? And how will you ask that history?
Whether he's on any, but already he has told that he is not taking any other medication apart from the hypertension. And
it's not said that way. Hypertensive for 5 years on these drugs. Has he told you that he is on no other medication?
He told no other medication he's taking.
Oh, okay.
So whether he had any blood investigations post the surgery, like
yes, that's an important question. Yeah. Okay, so we'll proceed.
Personal history and family history is not significant much. General examination, patient is ECOG2 with a weight of 90 kg and BMI of 24.8, pulse of 88 per minute. Systemic examination is normal, and in local examination, patient has
examination.
Are normal. Anal tone is normal, and on digital rectal examination, patient has grade 3 prostate, hard and irregular. Spine examination is normal and renal present.
we did not see the previous slide. Just can you go back to that slide that Excel is intelligent. Oh. Percent on refuse and grounds.
You should ask him.
Ma'am, you mentioned the prostate is hard.
What has he told you? EOM is normal. Refuse is retractile.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Is there anything more you want to know? On
In the
external-
genitalia. Ma'am, how is the meatus? Yes, mentioned normal, ma'am. Apart from that, any urethral thickening, induration, I would like to know, ma'am.
No.
Nothing well.
Now you have got grade 3 prostatomegaly. Prostate is hard and irregular.
Yes, ma'am.
Want to know anything more?
How is the
Hello?
examination? That's it, ma'am.
He's happier at the moment, Sujata. I don't want any reasons.
Okay, sir, let us be happy. So our diagnosis is what now?
What is your diagnosis on the basis of this?
I'm thinking in terms of carcinoma of the prostate with possible development of castration resistance.
How do you know that?
He had a bilateral orchidectomy, sir.
All right.
But still, he's having it even after 15 years. So I'm thinking in terms of a CRPC.
Likely.
Like this.
We have no measurement at the moment. But yes,
Possibility
one
of,
of the criteria of CRPC is that if there's a degrowth of something on a patient who's already had medical castration or surgical castration, if there's obvious enlargement in the area that is there early compared, then you assume that maybe, but you need to have other evidence to say that. It's an indirect way. So be careful when you make these statements just off the cuff like this. There's no need at this point to say he's got castration resistance. It doesn't give you anything. It's not going to give an extra mark, but it may cause some of the examiners to get a little worked up if you say that at the moment. So just say, I think he's got hard irregular prostate. Fits in with the diagnosis of carcinoma prostate at the but he's also got history of orchidectomy and he's got hematuria now. He can have hard prostate, can he have bladder cancer also?
Yes.
Could there be a papilloma sitting, papillary tumor sitting in the prostate and the bladder causing it? So he may have some other reason.
Those synchronous
While this is there, the cause of hematuria may be due to this or it may be due to something else totally. You see, you have to remember one thing. This patient has got a grade 3 hard prostate, a big prostate. Has he got any other symptoms related to metastatic spread?
He's had only voiding symptoms and hematuria.
So when you have a thing like this, what madam wants to know is the question, are you happy now or you want something else? So yes, I want something else now. That is what we want.
Examination.
Go back now. You've got a hard prostate and say, oh, does he have any other symptom related? Now you've got some more information which you did not have when you took the history. Now when you have this information, you say, find out whether this guy got bone pains, got this, that, everything else to know whether there's any suggestion of metastatic.
Does the patient have any bone
You understand?
pain?
You understand how it is working? Yeah.
Does he have any bone pain?
No bone pain patient has.
Okay, apart from bone pain, what are the other symptoms you asked for metastatic prostate?
I would like to ask for jaundice,
Jaundice.
cough.
Jaundice, I was sleeping prostate with jaundice.
Any malignancy, what are the features?
Loss of weight,
Loss of
appetite.
weight and loss of appetite.
Appetite. See, at this age, what is the most common presentation if it is metastatic? 85-year-old man. It is pain in the lumbar
Pain.
spine, or pain or tingling numbness or weakness, or maybe inability to move the lower limbs. Isn't that so? Haven't you seen the same thing?
Yes, ma'am. Spinal metastasis
Ah,
needs to be.
so jaundice can't be your first answer, okay? I just want to tell that.
Yes, ma'am. First is spinal.
Yeah, bone pain is a very vague symptom to ask, because we have commonly seen, I am sure you must have also seen that this age group patients, the pain is usually in the spinal region or in the ribs,
Yes, ma'am.
the lower limbs. So you can be more specific. Okay. Important to know, na? If he is developing anything in the spine, it becomes a little more emergency thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So what investigations do you want?
I would like to know is hemoglobin, is creatinine, serum PSA, and I would like to see zero flow pattern.
Patient has hemoglobin of 10, creat of 1.6, and PSA is more than 100, and this is the flow pattern.
Okay. What is his voided volumes? His maximum speed and
He voided only 23 ml, and he has a Qmax of 2.7 ml per second.
so what was his post-void residue?
Post-void residue, he voided only 23. Post-void residue was approximately 90 cc.
90 cc. Can you show that lab when you see hemoglobin there, that chart, that slide?
Yeah.
Six.
We have to do that. Yes, all our people are doing this. Just separate out. We will do this. We will do this. Now, you will be a lot of girls are there. Yes, I think everybody wants to see their job. Okay.
Ma'am, this patient, since my first diagnosis is a CA prostate with an outlet obstruction with a very poor flow. I would like to see for any upper tract changes, ma'am. So I would like to see a ultrasound of the kidney, ureter, and the bladders.
Okay. Now
Any other investigation you want?
I asked for uroflow and lab, this hemoglobin, creatinine.
That's all.
And PSA, I asked, sir. I told more than 100.
PSA more than 100. Why is it more than 100? What is it? What does it mean when the lab says more than 100? Some labs will say more than 100. Some labs will say 1,000. Some labs will say 2,000. What is it more than 100?
It's immeasurable.
Why have they written in that lab?
So
It is not
beyond
it's
that,
just a question for general knowledge. That's all.
because
The lab can only do that much. The kit that they have will only measure up to that. That's all. It won't give you the exact. It's like saying antibody titer is 350, antibody plus. That's all. That's all. That's the only difference. It's just that it quantifies. This lab just report me the echelon of PSA that our lab can only give you up to 100. That's all.
So Prasad, you got 2-3 informations: PSA more than 100, HB 10, creat 1.6, and plus on Uroflow he voided only 25 ml. His post-void residue is 19, and his average flow rate is 2. Okay, from all these investigations, your
Alkaline phosphate is, Sujata, alkaline phosphate is 357.
Alkaline, 357. What is our normal? 230. Okay, so from all this information, now you asked for an ultrasound. So you tell me what in your mind. Just don't simply go every step. You want something more, something more, something more. in your mind, you have to formulate what all things you want to know in this man. A, you said he has outlet obstruction, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So once you want to see the outlet, what else do you want to see in this patient? First tell that and then frame your investigation. Because just don't say ultrasound. I don't agree to it.
Ma'am, I'd like to see his creatinine is raised, ma'am, and his hemoglobin is on the lower
Our
side.
creatinine is up to 2 is normal. No, you are right in saying creat is slightly raised, 1.5 is normal, but ठीक है ना? But what all you want to see? And which investigation can tell you the maximum information in one go? Ask for that investigation. You are suspecting CA prostate, let me make it more simple.
Actually,
Yeah, you are suspecting CA prostate, PSA is more than 100, alkaline phosphatase is raised.
yes,
So,
ma'am.
what in that CA prostate you want to know?
I want to see metastasis only, ma'am. So
Yes,
ideally,
you want to see metastasis, distal and local, because he has hematuria also, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that is one of your aim. The second aim is you feel that there is outlet obstruction due to some reason. So you want to know the anatomy of his outlet.
Yes,
Third, you want to know whether he has any problem in the kidneys because his creatinine is slightly raised 1.6.
yes, ma'am.
Right? So now tell me an investigation which will tell you maximum information about all these three things. Will an
MRI with
ultrasound tell you, no, let me ask you, will an ultrasound tell you this information?
No, ma'am, not all. Ma'am.
No, it will not. So you will be forced to ask one more investigation and then you will get questions on why. So why are you asking for an ultrasound in the first place?
Only it will give only.
Because it's routine.
Don't say only.
Routine. That is the problem. No,
You
don't
will
make
ask you'll ask one investigation for every organ.
Yes, ma'am. This patient.
Okay, now. So think about that and tell a right answer.
This patient, I would like to do a MRI with the skeletal screening, ma'am. Which will give an idea about the bony ments as well as the local extent of the tumor. Any
MRI
lymph metastasis
with gadolinium or without?
without gadolinium.
Without. Why? Their creatinine is only 2, they say.
Sir, gadolinium.
We only discussed the other day all those newer agents and the old agents. Till what GFR you can go with the newer agents, with what GFR you can do gadolinium. What?
More than 30.
30 GFR. So this is will be more than that, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Gadolinium.
wherever you can use contrast. And if they are telling you that their lab value is 2, then 1.6 is well within the range, isn't it? Yeah? What you must ask is, what is the range in your lab? Is it from 0.8 to 2, or is it from something else to 2? So that you have some idea as to where this 1.6 is on that scale. And then appropriately ask for the image. But wherever you want to do an axial imaging or some sort of, it is better to ask with contrast wherever it is possible. You get better delineation of everything.
So A is you want an MRI with gadolinium. What else which other investigation is possibly likely to give you all the information?
PSMA PET.
So now tell me the difference between both of them and which one you are going to choose.
With the PSMA PET, ma'am, the cost factor is high and there are not a lot of studies to support PSMA PET in terms of describing the local extent, everything, ma'am. So that's why I told MRI as the MRI with contrast with skeletal scanning as the first one.
Okay.
Then followed by PSMA PET. Ma'am, PSMA PET will support more if we are suspecting bony mets, ma'am. This patient, he doesn't have any symptoms at present, ma'am, like spinal metastasis or any bony
Yeah,
issues.
but PSA is more than 100, so you will suspect even if he doesn't have symptoms,
PSA,
right?
yes, ma'am. But PSA more than 100, I would think in terms of bony mets, ma'am.
Would you like an MCU?
MCU.
Why is madam asking that question?
Because we have to treat this outlet also, sir. Because he's
Because
not
one
voiding
of the
at all.
differential diagnosis you said was possibly stricture, isn't it? And it was queried after 10 years. You are saying stricture 10 years after TURP. Huh?
Now it does.
No, you don't think he's got stricture.
Tumor itself is
The large
grade 3
prostate
broad
itself.
prostate.
So you don't want to do MCU. Okay, fine. He doesn't want to do MCU now. Leave it.
Okay, we are showing you the ultrasound first.
CT.
Anyway, show him the MCU also.
Show the MCU.
Bonus. Please read the MCU. Sorry, RG.
Read this RGU.
This is a retrograde ureterogram.
There was something in the findings which they told you, which you seem to have glossed over. Now you think of that finding that was written there and then interpret this RG.
This retrograde ureterogram shows that the bony architecture appears to be normal. The penetration is a little high in this X-ray film. The anterior urethra appears to be normal in caliber. No observation.
Wait.
Up to
Think
the-
very carefully. Think very carefully when you look at this anterior urethra on the retrograde.
The distal bulbar appears to be narrow. Bulbar urethra shows narrowing, approximately
No.
2 centimeters.
If I've got a block here and I'm pushing from here, what do I expect with the intervening tissue to the tube to
Dilate.
be dilate? Is it dilated?
No, sir.
Huh?
It looks, but
What
it's
is
not
the
narrow.
caliber of the normal anterior, the normal penile urethra? If I have to measure it in terms of what's the normal caliber? Measure it. Into it. You measure 8 millimeters. That is why it is 24 French caliber. 8 millimeters. Now, if I am pushing, if I got a block distally and I am pushing from proximal, the contrast, shouldn't the intervening tissue, which is the tube there, dilate?
Yes.
Is it dilating?
No, sir.
Then immediately you must think, it's not dilating, it's pushing from it's not dilating. Is it normal or abnormal? Is it normal or abnormal? You must think. It's abnormal, isn't it? It should dilate if it's normal. What was there in the examination finding in this case?
DXO was mentioned.
It is there. So you must correlate. No, this they said he has got BXO changes. This is the ureterogram. Put together all this. Don't ignore what was there earlier.
Yeah, but this urethra is not normal, okay? So normal urethra is definitely larger than this, up to maximum, I think 1 centimeter in breadth, or as sir said, 8 millimeters in breadth. So this urethra is not 8 millimeters.
Yes, ma'am.
What else can you see in the a distal bulb?
There is dilatation of the proximal bulb, and there is narrowing and almost a constriction at the distal bulbar.
Yeah. And what is happening at the bulbomembranous junction? Is that curve of the bulbar urethra maintained?
No, ma'am.
No, it's not maintained.
Not
What is
maintained.
happening to the proximal bulbar cone?
Proximal
That is
bulbar
also
cone
not
not
See,
maintained.
the bulbar cone is missing. It's gone,
It's not
destroyed.
there.
It's not there. It should be a nice cone. It's not there.
Yeah.
The
So
proximal
patient had URP also, right?
Yes, ma'am. So
What is happening to prostatic urethra?
ideally in
What happens after TURP if I do an RGU for the prostatic urethra?
actually the prostatic fossa opens up nicely.
Yeah, there will be a
there'll
fossa. Is there a
there'll be
fossa here?
No, sir. It's only thin stream of contrast which is entering, and it appears to be elongated and thin. Contrast
They
itself.
also told you that he has got grade 3 prostatomegaly, hard, irregular.
Irregular. Probably it's
See, both the films, it shows other
hello.
Can you see the same shadow in both the films?
Sure.
You see two shadows, no? One on this side and one on this side. Two shadows. One is in continuum with the urethra, one is separately lying like that. It doesn't look like the edge of the bone. Is that the edge of the symphysis pubis? Maybe. And it looks too symmetrical anyway.
Okay, anyway, you can comment on the bladder capacity and the irregularity of the bladder in both the films, though this is not an HCU. Yes, the contrast is partly filling up the bladder. And whatever films they have shown you, you can comment.
You mentioned penetration of the X-ray. Okay? Now this is the X-ray of the pelvis.
Yes, sir.
There is a connection between pelvis X-ray and prostate cancer. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
We see deposits. So when you are giving an impression, you said the penetration, it would have been good, you would have got more marks. You said that in view of the history of the hard prostate, the raised PSA, do you see any obvious lesion in the bone, in the pelvis? Any sclerotic areas? I don't see, or do I see? It's a very relevant negative. If it is there, you point it out. If it's not there, you get extra marks, you point it out. You get it? Oh, the guy looking at that X-ray and telling me there is nothing there. One of the things we tend to forget is looking at the pubic bone. The pubic bone is also something that gets involved in patients who have got carcinoma prostate, and a deep boring pain they keep when they're walking. So that's apart from the fact that it's here in the ileum and all that. So you just look at that. Okay, carry on.
The
But
blood
it's important for all of us to look at all these factors when we're looking at X-ray. Try to correlate all the information that has been given to us.
So we are showing you the CT scan because we don't have an MRI. Okay, comment, please comment.
These are a series of plane and contrast axial and coronal images, which is showing both kidneys to be but both kidneys are normal with no hydronephrosis, no or any calculi were seen, ma'am. In the there is an irregular hyperdense lesion involving the prostate, which is also involving the bladder with perivesical fat stranding, and also bilateral seminal vesicles seem to be infiltrated by this tumor, ma'am. And you could also see some sclerotic lesions in near the hip, bone.
If there's something obvious, don't look at the marrow and say it is disease. Okay. If there's something obvious, yes, say. Otherwise, don't comment on an X-ray where it's not clear. If there's definite erosion and all the rest of it, you see, you compare the right and the left. Okay, are they symmetrical or is there some asymmetry? Don't you see a distinct difference between the right and the left? This and this.
Right seems to be little more sharper and brighter.
Whatever you're seeing there
On
as
the
the heads is not seen here. This is the section of the pelvis, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And you're expected to see the head of the femur and all those things, no? Are you seeing on both sides?
The femur is on the left. I could see partially, sir, but on the right, I could see.
No, if you see one round here, you should see another round here, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
You don't see one round there.
Asymmetric.
Huh? It is destroyed or something has happened there. See another cut then. See another cut.
Can you show another cut?
No, that's because you are talking about the bone. I'm giving you an tips that
Just
okay.
how to-
Don't look at the whole skeleton and see the and don't mistake the marrow for something. There's a lot of marrow in pelvic bone, you know? So that will look loosened on and give you the impression. There must be erosion of the bone.
Seems to be right. There seems to be I think the cortex is very much brighter. See some the marrow.
You think that he's got bone mets? If you think so, say that he's got bone mets in the area.
Not sure,
or
sir.
the pelvis. If you're not sure, you say you're not sure. That's all. What is it? This patient has got on the ultrasound, they said pelvic calyceal dilatation, isn't it? Didn't they mention that on ultrasound? Wasn't there pelvic calyceal dilatation on ultrasound?
No, sir.
No, eh?
No.
Okay, I thought you had mentioned on the slide mild pelvic calyceal dilatation. The important thing is when you're describing that lesion in the bladder, in the base of the bladder, that hyperdense area in the bladder base, you also look at whether other structures are seen normally. That is the seminal vesicle. Are you able to see that?
I was able to see, sir.
If you are able to see that, it must be the next cut. After the bladder, the next is the seminal vesicle, then is the prostate, in that order, sequence. Okay.
It appears to be operated
And
as well as.
no, when you got a large prostate and when you got this thing at the bladder base like this, the next thing you look for is whether the ureters are involved. Alright? Because this is at the level of the bladder base, the trigone, the ureters. Are you seeing dilated ureters as they come into the bladder? Are you seeing any dilatation of the ureters, subtle dilatation of the ureter lower end? All this would suggest that this is infiltrating the trigone. That's why you do a CT, no? So get all this information. What about nodal disease?
Operator nodes, I think.
You found, okay. If you think that there are nodes, you said, I think there are nodes.
Bilaterally, I see some nodes.
Okay.
So, okay, now what do you want to do for this patient? Any more investigations you want, or we want to go ahead with management?
Sorry,
No, what do you want to do? You want to one MRI now?
no, sir, since MRI is not available,
No. So what do you want? You want bone scan? PSMA PET scan. What do you have to say? What do you want? Because madam, what do you want?
PSMA PET scan.
A bone marrow, bone scan won't suffice. We have seen the abdomen and pelvis. We have seen. There are also clear. It means what will an MRI tell you more than a bone scan in this scenario?
Here it will give me an idea about the extraprostatic extension, lymph nodes.
Okay, extraprostatic extension, lymph nodes, soft tissue, this thing. Is it going to affect your management?
Ma'am, it will help us stage the disease, ma'am.
Right.
So bone scan management wise, it won't change, ma'am, but we'll have a staging. That's why I thought.
But on this, you can't make a staging. On this, what is your stage? That will change on MRI. Means between which two stages there will be a confusion or improvement on doing an MRI? What is the stage now? What is the stage now?
T4.
T4. Is there any stage beyond that which you'll come to know on MRI?
No, ma'am.
Oh, then see Prasanna. Just
Ma'am,
don't keep on
in
asking.
staging.
Hey, but is there any stage beyond that? Okay, is there a change in management between the previous stage and T4 stage?
No, ma'am, but metastasis, M staging.
M staging, yes. M staging is there, but M staging can't be done on a bone scan. Means what additional information will an MRI give you over a bone scan in this scenario when we have already somebody has given you the CT scan? What you asked initially, I agree. If you had asked for an MRI with gadolinium in the beginning, okay, yes. But now somebody has done a CT scan and you want some additional information. Which additional information is missing in a CT scan now?
Bone scan.
Only about the bones, and that too bones in the other part of the body like femur and humerus and ribs and whatever, skull. All this information can be got on a bone scan. Why do you have to do an MRI for it?
No,
And
no.
even if you do an MRI, you are not going to do a whole body MRI. Your MRI will still miss if there is a metastasis in the skull or in the mandible.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you understanding? I'm trying to.
Yes, ma'am. Whatever is missing, we need to add with the other additional
Yeah,
machine.
that is what you don't try to duplicate investigations, because this is already T4. It is involving the seminal vesicles, the base of the bladder. There is no change in management even if we get more information, that is it is involving 2/3 of the seminal vesicle, or it is involving the entire seminal vesicle, or what else information can you get if lymph nodes are there. This is not going to change the management. I hope you understand my reasoning of telling you.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to understand that is more important.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
a bone scan in this situation will give you all the information you want, which is missing on a CT scan.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely a CT scan is slightly inferior in comparison to an MRI for CA prostate.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't need this extra information. Do you have a bone scan? Yeah, show him the bone scan. I hope I am talking to you also.
You see, bone scan. Is this a super scan? Is this a super scan? In the bone scan, you have what is called a super scan. Is this a super scan, I'm asking?
No, sir.
Why?
Technetium.
Anybody? Why? Is this a super scan or not? Any of the other residents?
Sir, in super scan, all the peripheral skeleton should also be involved in this.
Super scan.
No. That's not super scan.
The kidneys.
Kidneys are not.
What about kidneys? Not seen on the super scan. Are they seen on
In the super scan, the radionuclide is taken up by the
Bone.
entire skeleton. And
Yes.
nothing is seen in the kidney. You're seeing the kidneys. So this is not a super scan. You are right, but you did not know the answer. You did not know the reason. Okay? Super scan means that the kidneys are not seen. Right.
And Prasanna, did you realize now that metastasis in the scapula, that metastasis in the on the foot region, in the knee region, you would have missed if you had done an MRI. So, okay, what is the importance of this bone scan now? Because this patient is 84-year-old, CA prostate. Management wise.
Ma'am, we could differentiate between oligometastatic disease and extensive metastasis.
Okay, that is one. What is the definition of oligometastatic?
Most of the studies quote less than 5, ma'am. One
Okay,
study
less than 5.
quote
Less than
Or
5 what?
Less than 3 also, no?
extra prostatic
Huh? Extra prostatic. What?
bony met.
Say that, man. You must be specific. Is lymph nodal disease included in oligometastatic? No, you must be clear.
Bony bones,
You must be very clear. Only
only bone.
3. Some fellows say 5. Most people are saying 3. Okay, so in this area, there is a difference of opinion, but it's purely in the bone.
Okay, so
Oligometastatic disease is not included in, lymph nodes are not included in there. If it's lymph node, it is not oligometastatic. Okay.
so now
Alright.
you enumerate what are the problems in this patient which you need to address.
Yes, ma'am. One is the BX-associated stricture he's having. First is the metastatic CA prostate with extensive bone mets. That is the
Okay.
first thing needs to be addressed, ma'am. And
So is T4 disease your concern now?
no, ma'am, this M1,
Why is it not your concern?
ma'am, because actually we have to plan surgery for him for pure channeling, ma'am, since he's not passing
No,
urine.
that is not the answer. That is not the answer. Why is T staging here, though you know it is T4, but you answered that his spine metastasis are your concern, which I agree with you, but why?
Because the spinal metastasis can cause a paraplegia itself, ma'am, extensive
So
vertebral
spine
metastasis.
metastasis can be more debilitating to him, is one
Yeah.
answer. Second answer, is he 60 years old, Prasanna?
85, ma'am.
85 years. So at 85, do you do definitive management? For
No,
his, even if he was organ confined? No.
palliative
So
intent
we are not planning for any definitive management, even if he was, suppose he was organ confined, right? So
Yes,
his
ma'am.
age is not in his favor for any radical management of his local disease. Plus it is T4, so where there are very limited options of any curative intention. No, actually nothing. So his metastasis in the spine is bothering you, and his outlet obstruction is bothering you. Does this renal failure bother you now?
Slightly on the higher side, but we need
Let it be
to.
on a higher side. Let it be creatinine 2 also. But does it bother you now?
No, ma'am. At present,
Why
I will.
doesn't it bother you?
And for his age, this 1.6 is.
No, that here age is not an answer. The answer is it is not in the form of obstruction which you can reverse. There is no hydronephrosis which you can reverse by doing something. Whatever is there is the little bit of size difference between the right kidney, left kidney, little more echogenicity, which is not in your hands,
Yes, ma'am.
right? You can't
Yes.
control it. It is either due to his age or hypertension, whatever it is, the reason for it is, but it is not within your,
So we cannot.
you cannot do anything for it. So now your renal failure or progressing to renal failure is not your, means it can, you cannot change it. Though you can also say, I can take a opinion on his antihypertensive because he is on ACE inhibitors. And if you want, you can change it, change the antihypertensive. That one thought should come to your mind. But your main thing is now you have to focus on the spinal metastasis and you have to focus on his outlet obstruction. Now, on his outlet obstruction, there are two parts to his outlet obstruction. One is a very large or an entire pan-urethral stricture is one of this thing. Second is the prostatic urethra is very narrow. I'm just telling you the answers because we are short of time. Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And the third thing is it is a large prostate. You could see that impression even on an MCO-RGO. You could see it on a CT scan.
Yes, ma'am.
Plus the volume of the bladder is small. So how can you manage all these things in one go? Now tell me that answer.
Uh,
Will you do buccal mucosal urethroplasty followed by channel TURP?
First, the spinal metastasis needs to be addressed, ma'am.
First we are discussing bladder outlet obstruction.
I told you.
So that
His main problem is what? His main problem is not spinal metastasis. He didn't come with that. He's coming with outlet. Always we are told, deal with the patient's presenting complaint. Address that. At 85 years, he's wanting to pee properly. He's worried about his hematuria. He doesn't know he's got spinal metastasis. So you deal with the outlet. So madam is asking you, will you do BMG urethroplasty for him?
no, sir.
No, you tell her.
I would like to.
Don't tell me. She's
So
asking
to
you
address the
question.
BO, I'd like to do a TUR channeling along with.
You can't do a TUR channeling unless you get through that
Urethra. What will go into his
or you
urethra?
have to do a perineal urethrostomy to do a TUR channeling. So you tell me the right answer.
I lay open up to the proximal bulbar, still till the narrowing part, ma'am.
Prasanna, he is 85 years old of age. Suppose
Yes, ma'am.
you were 85, will you get all these things done
At least
on
lay open.
yourself? Huh?
Lay open.
Right from the EUM till the through the scrotum till the perineal. Sir.
How can you assume he may want to get it done? By 80, he may want to get it done.
Right, sir. If he is, I don't think he will get it done. You have to look at his fitness. You have to look at his age.
Yes, ma'am.
And with such a big TUR, with such a small bladder, are we going to achieve anything?
Bladder capacity is also less. Yes,
So
ma'am.
what answer am I pushing you to? Because I am saying no to everything you say, na? So what am I trying to tell you?
Ma'am, you're telling about palliative medical management, anything which is
I'm
available.
just saying put in an SPC and keep quiet at the moment.
But,
Because this is a very big thing to deal with at this age. Na? Entire anterior urethra is gone.
But
Prostatic urethra is compressed. It is grade 3 prostate. Where do you have blood also in COVID?
but prostate is extending into the bladder also, ma'am, and it is very
Yeah,
small.
so-
He was getting-
And bladder is so small. Then why did you say TUR?
But yes, ma'am. But if we put SPC, it will go and hit the tumor. Going to put a small bladder.
Okay, but at least it will give him some outlet relief of the pain he is undergoing, voiding 25 ml of urine every time at
Yes,
85
ma'am.
years old of age. Huh?
Yes.
Frequency, straining, all that. You think about it. You still want to do it? I don't know. Probably I won't do it. Maybe I'm different or whatever it is. You can talk to the patient whether he really wants a TUR. Maybe if he wants a TUR, you can do it.
If you do a TUR on him, you will have two options. You lay open his urethra up to the bulb, or you plan that he will have a perineal ureterostomy created, and through the bulbar urethra, you go into his prostate and resect it. Now, getting into that prostate is also going to not be easy. And you will never be able to resect everything. You will be able to just make another channel and leave him be with a permanent perineal ureterostomy. That is point number one.
Yeah, so permanent perineal ureterostomy you will have to do.
Tide over the crisis. Tide over the crisis. He's come now with all this COVID, BVID and all that, put an SPC and leave him. Question is, are you going to do anything for the raised PSA, the meds in terms of his prostate cancer? Because he has had a good innings so far. And is there anything to suggest that you could do something to improve, give some more time? You put an SPC.
So,
What can you do?
sir,
Yeah. What
after
can you do
T-
for his CA prostate? T4 lesion, spinal meds, and PSA more than 100 and orchidectomy already done.
What can you
So
do?
now, is he CRPC now?
Yes, ma'am.
So now tell the answer to this question.
Ma'am, after I'll plan for an SPC, ma'am, and after about 1 week, when the healing is better, I will start him on abiraterone with prednisolone, ma'am. 1000 milligrams with steroid about prednisolone, ma'am, and then I will be monitoring his PSA 3 monthly.
Right. So you want to give abiraterone.
Abiraterone with steroid. Any other option, doctor, you can offer?
Enzalutamide is another option, ma'am.
Okay.
Between these two drugs, in an 85-year-old man, which would be your preference? Enzalutamide or abiraterone? Remembering that he has got disease in the prostate also. You got disease in the prostate, large prostate, hard irregular, you got disease there. Which is a better drug in a situation like this, from the point of view of its action?
Enzalutamide.
It is clearly enzalutamide. It is clearly enzalutamide because it acts within the prostate also, knocking the androgen receptor there and preventing the conversion. You see, now we know that everywhere else, plus also locally in the prostate. Okay? What is the caveat here if you want to use enzalutamide in this man? What are you worried about?
Liver function.
No, not. Liver function is abiraterone. Enzalutamide, you are worried about neurological problems. So an 85-year-old man may have neuropathies, may have cognitive impairments, all the neurological problems are there. And therefore, if he doesn't have that, enzalutamide is probably a better drug, slightly safer, because you have to throw in a steroid in a patient with abiraterone. That might add to his diabetes, may switch it off, all those things, It produces some degree of water retention, this fellow is hypertensive. So many of these issues have to also be taken into account. So if you really want to give him something, you give him enzalutamide and hope for the best. You think he's a candidate for docetaxel chemotherapy?
Yeah. Is he a candidate for docetaxel?
No, ma'am. It's 85-year-old with
This GFR is good. GFR is good.
You won't
What
talk.
else are you looking for when you give docetaxel chemotherapy?
Actually,
Are you only looking at creatinine? What else are you looking at?
PSA also.
No. The PSA is elevated. Again, a standard question. Every patient who is going to go on chemotherapy, look at the performance status. Okay.
Okay, now Prasanna, answer this question. You are talking of abiraterone and enzalutamide. You are talking of docetaxel. What is the outcome in T4 disease with this amount of spinal metastasis? Means what are you trying to? What outcome will you tell the patient's relative? Yeah, I am looking at this. Are you looking to reduce his spinal mets? Are you looking to, means what is your intention of doing all this treatment? Are you going to halt the progression of the disease? Are you going to give him more months to live? What is your aim?
We are this is a palliative intent only we are telling the patient, and then we are halting the progression only, ma'am.
In how many percent?
Percentage.
What is the survival advantage at this point? This madam is asking you, the patient, where you put it on enzalutamide. What survival advantage you get? How many
Yeah,
months?
because as a relative, I am going to spend so much of money on my 85-year-old father in COVID times. I should know now what am I going to achieve?
Yes, ma'am. I think only about 6 months only. I think advantage is there, ma'am.
No, it's not 6 months.
More than
Depending on
different
the
something.
issue, then you can go up to 20 months survival advantage in patients on enzalutamide. So you have to
Better than different
whatever it is. There is survival advantage, but it depends on so many other factors. This is the overall survival advantage. So it's important to see that. But then you look at it. He's got no symptom from his
related to the
from his
spine.
spinal metastasis, from his metastatic disease, he's got no symptom. His problem is this. So if you take care of that, and then see what happens, and discuss with the relatives and say, we've got this option, but it's going to cost, and I'm not going to give your father years of life. I'm not going to add to life. I might try to improve the quality of his life. His quality of life at the moment is reasonably good. With an SPC, it will be better because he will not pass urine. He's got all stricture in the urethra, everything. And when he has trouble, you bring him.
Yeah.
So he could have a situation of watchful waiting.
Yes.
Watchful waiting. What is the risk of watchful waiting in this man? We don't know how long, we don't know when he will die. None of us know. But what is likely to happen in such a patient?
Sir, if we do watchful waiting, his spinal mets will progress.
Correct. So what is the worry? What is the worry? What is the worry?
Sir, the CRPC.
What is the worry with spinal mets?
Paraparesis, right?
You get paraplegia. Is it easy to manage paraplegic in the house in India? How difficult it is, 85-year-old man? Catheter, SPC, bloodstone, everything. So you want to prevent that.
Yes.
Can you predict that event? Can you predict that by looking at something and then say, no, I think this is going to happen, boss. I better do something about it.
We already done a bone scan as already given us.
Bone scan has shown you extensive meds. Can you predict now that there is something else here? This is dangerous, boss. We're going to happen. How will you find that out?
Yeah. So what type of spinal metastasis are important? Means how do you say that this spinal metastasis is good and this is bad?
The lumbar spine.
Which part of the vertebral body?
Which part of the vertebra the metastasis is occurring?
So how will you see that? You have to see with a bone. You have to look at his bone and you have to do an MRI with skeletal survey. to see which part of that bone is affected and give an idea as to, well, this is a dangerous area. I better treat him up front. Because if he gets paraplegia, he'll be in a sorry mess.
So you need to, maybe we can have a small seminar, or if you have time, we can discuss right now. But which parts of the vertebral body are metastasis? What type of metastasis, sclerotic or lytic?
Next class.
Is next
One of-
class. Yeah, this is very important. And you have not told treatment for spinal meds, okay? Whatever preventive treatment is doable, that also you should have told in this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
So maybe
Right.
next class we